What is up? My name is Sarah June. I am the head coach and founder of June Coaching Company, where you find out what your body is capable of. So today I'm going over the heat index guide for pace adjustments when you're running. So this is basically anytime that there is heat, humidity, your rate of perceived exertion or effort is going to change. So your how your body feels is going to change if you are running the same pace at 60 degrees and you try to run that same pace at 100 degrees. It's going to feel so much harder at 100 degrees, which is to be expected, right? Because your body is constantly trying to cool yourself down because it doesn't want to overheat. You're sweating more, you're burning more energy to try to keep yourself cool. So when is it time to use actual pace adjustments? So for ultra running, we here at June Coaching want you to use RPE, so it's rate of perceived exertion. So you really shouldn't be focusing on your pace, right? You should just be focusing on how is my body feeling? Do I need to slow down to be able to do the talk test? Talk test being how well can you form sentences? So if you're able to form sentences at an endurance pace, then that's where you want to be, right? But if you want to be at an endurance pace and you're huffing and puffing, you need to slow down. Even though it might be the same pace you did in the winter, it's going to be slower in the summer, and that's to be expected. So RPE is how we want you to do the adjusting and tune into your body and be able to adjust based off of what you're feeling. But when it comes to planning for a race, right, you need to know how long it's going to take you to get from one aid station to the next aid station. So that's where pacing comes into play, at least for ultra runners. Then I go into it for ultra running, I'm going to go into it a little bit more for road running. And when you actually are trying to hit paces for, trying to get a certain time in a marathon. So back to the ultra running. So if you're planning out your pace chart and you know it's going to get like mid 80s in, midday, you want to add in heat factor, right? So that heat index, you want to have a certain percentage of pacing. So in this module, there is, the difference in the pace adjustments. If it's 75 to 84 degrees Fahrenheit, conversion is different for Celsius, then you want to be 5 to 10% slower, or 3 to 5% slower, excuse me. Now, what does that actually mean in pacing itself? So that just means you're going to be going slower. So there is going to be an example down here. So if you're doing an 11-minute mile, you're going to go 11 to 15% slower. So approximately 12:15 to a 12:40 pace. So one of the great ways that you can utilize ChatGPT is by saying, hey, I need to adjust my average pace by, 10%. What's my new average pace? Give them like, this is my 10-minute mile is my average pace. I need to adjust it by 10% because of the heat index. It'll be able to spit out a pace for you. So you don't have to necessarily do it in your head, but you can do it using ChatGPT. Okay, so that is ultra. So you'll be able to adjust your pace so you know how long it's going to take you from aid station to aid station. When you know how long it's actually going to take you, you can plan your hydration, you can plan your fuel accordingly. So that's the reason why we want to adjust for heat index, at least in these circumstances. In road running circumstances, when we're training in the summer and we're trying to go for a certain pace in the fall, per se, like you're going to go for a 4-hour marathon, let's just, for example, a 4-hour marathon, that's your goal. You're going to need to be hitting or let's say a 3:45 marathon, because I have those paces in my head right now. So if you're going for a 3:45 marathon, you're going to be going at an 8:24 pace. That's your marathon pace, right? But if you're going to be running when it's, 75 to 85, so you're right around 80 degrees, you're going to be adjusting that to go 3 to 5% slower than you would at doing that type of run at like a cooler temperature. So that means, so if you're doing a marathon pacing tempo run, right? So a marathon pace run, you have a warm up, then you have a certain amount of miles or time at your marathon pace, and then you have a cool down. That marathon pace, yes, on race day, you do want it to be an 8:34, but in training, we're going to make it, let's say, an 8:40, right? We're going to slow that down a little bit, and it's still getting in the benefit that you need at that marathon pace. Okay, so I hope that made sense. So here you'll have all of the pace and heat index adjustments, so you can plan your races and your training runs accordingly. I am also putting at the bottom, I'm going to have a Google Doc so you can actually download this and have it saved onto your computer, so you don't have to always come in here to see it. So I'll have a Google Doc down here, and yeah, I hope this is helpful.